Hi everyone and welcome to another Friday 5-minute makes. Now today we're making a card that is really lovely and bright. You don't have to use rainbow colours, you could use nice tonal colours through perhaps blues and teals, all the reds, yellows and oranges. It's entirely up to you. You could even go quite monochrome with this one. So what I've got is I've got myself a 5x7 card base. I've got a panel of cardstock that will just sit on there with a border, so a little bit smaller. I've got a piece of vellum that is not as wide but is longer, and then I've got my paper scraps all cut into kind of 6-7mm strips. I just used my trimmer for this and I wasn't very accurate with it, but I literally went through all the colours that I've got in my scraps box. So the first thing we're going to do is arrange our scraps into colour order. Now I tend to stick with the rainbow because I find this a really nice easy way of getting a balanced look. So I'm going to start with red, orange, yellow, green, sticking with the more yellow green first. And then of course it would go into blue, but between green and blue you've got teals. So there's a lighter green, there's a teal. They're actually very similar, so I'm going to remove that one. Then I've got a darker teal. Then I've got a light blue. Look how beautiful these are. And you can, of course, duplicate these, cut more of them, stick with just a few colours if you prefer. I'm actually going to, let's pop this one in here, like so. I'm just butting them up against each other at the moment. And then that pinky purple, quite similar, but it does lend itself just about to the pink, and like so. There we go. Okay, so I've got all my strips all laid down in order. Now, I'm just going to quickly measure how wide this is. So top to bottom 9 centimetres. So I'm going to gauge on here whereabouts the halfway point is for 9 centimetres. So the entire panel is 16 centimetres. Take away 9, that leaves me with 7 centimetres, and half of 7 is 3.5. Now that's quick maths, but that means I should have 3.5 centimetres, then 9 centimetres, and then another 3.5 centimetres. Now, that's kind of the area that my strips will fill, but I want to put them diagonally. So I'm going to use this as the centre point, but have them go up and down. So let's start with red at the bottom. I just think red's a deeper colour than pink, so I prefer to put this down the bottom. Line of glue along there, and I'm going to put them diagonally, but using that mark that I made in the beginning there, the centre point there. Okay, this is only roughly. I mean, you might find it actually varies quite a lot depending on the angle you use. You could go completely straight. You could fill your cardstock if you prefer. I'm now just going to work my way up, sticking my strips down. In theory, I should finish with the last centre around about here. Perfect, so that's exactly where I hoped that would finish. So that should be pretty balanced. Once all your glue is dry, you can turn over and cut these. Now just a tip for you, if you really want super quick cards, you could just trim these slightly longer ones. So just like that. And you could add glue to these, put another card base over the top here and then cut between them. So you've got all these fun, funky lines lined up onto another card base. In fact, I'm going to do that for you just to show you how to make a couple of extra quick cards. Then popping all the cards into my trimmer and carefully trimming down between the joins. There's one. There's 2, so I can save these for another time. just a simple stamp on there, and I've got myself funky card bases. So I'll pop those aside and use those another time. And then there is the card base that we're using today. I'm going to take my vellum and put it over the top of these. This is just going to tone down those colours a little bit for our sentiment going over the top, but also add some difference in shades. So just folding over the card there, creasing that vellum. This doesn't have to be vellum, it could be parchment. It could even be, if you've got it, just something like some tracing paper, because we're not actually doing any sort of parchment effects with it. It is only a frosted look. You could get away with using that really expensive tracing paper that, you know, that kids use. There we go. Okay, so now to map that onto my card base, and I tend to do this with foam. And over the top of this, I'm going to put a white sentiment. Now that's really going to stand out over the brightness of those paper scraps. So this you could either pop on with your adhesive foam if you want to. I'm just going to glue it straight down, just thinking about cost of posting. I've used my Textures Floral Folk Art Collection Floral Sentiment Panel. So this is still available at Craft Stash, so I'll link it down below for you. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful die. Absolutely love it. Now I've gone for iridescent sparkles here because I just think they really capture all the colours of the rainbow cardstock behind. So there's your Friday 5-minute makes. Thank you so much everyone for joining me. Don't forget, of course, to pop a stamp onto these so you've got ready-made cards for another occasion. That would be really cool as well if you wanted to join the two like this. So there's kind of almost 3 cards for one there. If you enjoy these quick cards, don't forget to check out the playlist here. Everything I've used can be found through this link here. And of course, subscribe to my channel. I would absolutely love that, and a thumbs up would be fantastic. Take care. I'll see you next week for another Friday 5-minute makes.